G'day everyone, I'm the Red Scar, this is Red Scar Gaming. Today is my summary of my 9th draft with Wild of Eldraine. I was using a Sultai tall deck, I suppose is the way to call this. It was a bit sort of just big dumb creatures, which I had a fair bit of success with. Three wins, 3 losses, I know that's not my best, but look, it's fine, I'm pretty happy with it. But yeah, as per normal, I'll talk about each card. My earlier cards, mana cost I mean, like Fairy Dream Thief was particularly useful, I'd say. I knew from the start that Fairy Dream Thief is not going to be my win con. It's a 1-1 flying, but the whole Surveil 1 is good, and the whole Exile from my graveyard, draw a card, is really helpful. I didn't get to use it quite as often as I'd sort of hoped, but I mean that's all right. It's still a 1 cost creature who did all right. Toadstool Admirer, I did get to use pretty effectively. Once again, it's still not a game winner, and I know that a lot of people aren't terribly happy with it, but I think it did quite well, considering I have nothing else to play sort of turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 sort of thing. Monstrosity, as I said during the draft, I basically just want it to even just sack it in the block, because it can be effective as a blocker, and that creating the food token is certainly helpful. So yeah, I'm glad with how that went, though I'm sure there's different circumstances it could have done a bit better. Titanic Growth, I got to use more often than I probably intended to. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, I'm not quite sure. But there was a few times that I basically got to attack or block with that in mind, in my hand still. So I was able to do better on the attack or the block, which, I mean, what Titanic Growth is. And it's sort of, for this deck, it's a little bit sort of control almost, which I sort of need some sort of control before turn 3, so that's sort of the card I needed. Quick Study, I didn't get to use quite as much as I probably was either hoping or desiring or whatever for, though, yeah, still a good card. Maybe I could have dropped it for something else, but I'll think about that as we go. Feed the Cauldron, I definitely needed something that sort of destroy target creature. I know Feed the Cauldron is not the most popular card the world's ever seen, for removal at the very least, but I sort of needed to grab whatever I could, really, and the creation of the food token really helped. So it sort of gives me an extra turn maybe, which is good, helps. I'll definitely use that again some other time. Rowan's Grim Search, I didn't get to use as often. That's just just didn't get to draw it as often. But I mean that's alright. I still draw 2, lose 2 life. That's all right. I didn't bargain with it, but I knew that from the start. Sweet Tooth Witch. Once again, I've had better uses of Sweet Tooth Witch, but the creation of the food token, plus, in a similar sense to Feed the Cauldron, Monstrosity, in a similar sense to Monstrosity, I was happy to use it as a trade with another creature, essentially, though I didn't get to use the sack of food, target player loses 2 life, I think, but yeah, and it was good to have that option. Curse of the Werefox is definitely just sort of the removal spell, though game 5, if I remember correctly, my opponent basically destroyed the creature I was just about to cast that on, so that was the one drawback. But it's still good. Maybe, had I the opportunity, I probably would have gone, say, another Curse of the Werefox for probably Rowan's Grim Search, but I'm pretty sure that I only got the one in the whole draft, which is a little surprising. It is common. Spider Food, it has often been the 41st card in the deck, and I'm glad I got to actually use it this time. In a similar fashion to why I was sort of going control-ish earlier in the game, and Spider Food is good for that. Creating a food token helps. Destroying artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying helps. In fact, it was game 4, I think. I basically won 4, 3, 4. Anyway, one of those games I basically destroyed target creature with flying, and the game swung my way. So I was very happy about that. So it worked in that particular circumstance anyway. Verdant Outrider, I stand by what I said about it before. That look, it has its moments, but it's just not quite reliable. I would probably prefer it was a 3/3 most of the time, rather than a 4/2. But look, I mean, it's a 4/2. I did use it sometimes, but yeah, just not quite as well as I'd like. Spellscorn Coven, I think actually with the power of hindsight, I probably shouldn't have kept it. It's good in the right circumstance, but I just didn't get quite enough opportunities to use Take It Back in particular, and casting it as the creature wasn't as mana efficient as I was sort of hoping for. But yeah, mate, like, what should I have grabbed instead is, yeah, maybe something I should think about. Ferocious Werefox, I did use Guard Change a bit, though unfortunately not quite as often as I'd probably hoped for. Whether that's bad luck or bad deck or something. But yeah, 4/3 Trample still good, and 4 mana cost is about the sort of curve that I'm going. Okay, this is one of my win cons sort of things. And while it didn't really like play Ferocious Werefox win the game that turn sort of thing. There was a few times that it did enough damage that I won the game a bit later. Eret's Tempting Apple, I have had better use of before actually. The first time I played, I think it was game 1. I just messed it up, my fault. But there was a couple of times that I basically got to play that. I think it was game 5 that I basically got to play it as the win con, which certainly helps. And there was one time that I got to sack it, target opponent loses 3 life, which really helped. So yeah, it's a good card. Probably wanted the 2 for this deck. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, I'll have to think about it a bit more. Beanstalk Worm, I've always been a little bit skeptical about plant beans because it is often in the circumstance that yes, you get that third land turn 2, but then you don't have any land to play turn 3 rather. So it's sort of like, okay, well now you start turn 3 with 3 lands. So it hasn't worked terribly well, but there was in I think game 4, if I'm not mistaken, I got to play that turn 2 and then Ferocious Werefox turn 3, which I don't think really won me the game that game, but it put my opponent on the back foot from the start. So that was good, and I do need something with reach in this deck. So in that means it was pretty good. Gingerbread Hunter, I didn't actually use as often as I'd like. Puny Snack in particular, while it's not exactly a win con, can be useful at the right time. I just didn't get much of a chance to use Puny Snack though, so hey, that's just bad luck, I suppose. As a 5/5 ETB food token, that's good, though game 1, 2, I did. Anyway, one of my early games, I played it and yeah, it was just too late, so I still died to it, but that's all right. It happens. So I suppose I'm slightly less happy with Gingerbread Hunter than I wanted to be. Call that a complaint, I think. Balloon as Gatekeeper. I've had better use of that before as well. Entry Denied is certainly good when it's good, but in this particular set of circumstances, I just didn't get to use Entry Denied as well as I'd hoped. I did play it a few times as a 6/5, but even then, didn't quite work out as much as I'd hoped, but yeah, once again, might just be bad luck. Stormcloud Vanguard I actually got a lot of pretty good use out of. While Bear Down is not exactly a win con, it did often give me something to do turn 2, 3, 4. So yeah, it's certainly very good on that front. I think it was game 4 I got to play it, I think even twice actually, if memory serves. But my opponent still destroyed it, so it was a good way to soak up destroy target creature, but I just wish it didn't cost 6 mana. Hamlet Glutton I have used more frequently in other decks. Just didn't quite draw him as often as I'd probably hoped. But once again, maybe I was relying a bit too much on drawing the likes of Quick Study and all that sort of thing. But if I remember correctly, every time I did play Hamlet Glutton, I did get to bargain it, which is very good turn 5 or even turn 4 if you happen to get a bit lucky on that ramp. 6/6 trample, gaining 3 life really helps. It's a damn good card. I'd definitely draft it again. The other land, I didn't get to use Crystal Grotto as effectively as I'd hoped, but look, it's not the game winning card anyway. It's still good. Evolving Wilds, I'm very happy with Evolving Wilds in any 3-color deck. 2 colors, good. But one of the main questions I suppose I want to ask myself, should I have stuck with the blue? With the power of hindsight, maybe not, but it'll depend a little bit on what cards I look through. I was thinking about going white, mainly for Werefox Bodyguard, and look, there would have been an opportunity to use it, but yeah, I think just for Werefox Bodyguard, probably not worth it. Return Triumphant wouldn't have been good for me in this deck, and Plunge into Winter, look, might have had its one moment, but yeah, it's just not that great. So yeah, out of these white cards, I'm glad I didn't keep them, put them in deck. The blue cards, yeah, this is maybe the main point where I should have drawn the card, because if drawn the line, if I could have probably afforded to get rid of blue. Mainly because I think Quick Study was actually the card that I sort of needed the most, but I just didn't get to use it properly is maybe the word. Though whether that's because I relied too much on Quick Study or I should have had, say, Into the Fey Court instead, that's a bit of a thought. Sleight of Hand is alright. Freeze in Place is a card that I might have been able to go with, I suppose, instead of Quick Study, and then Into the Fey Court instead of the other one. And Murpho Coralsmith is, not great anyway. It's not terrible, but I haven't had any success with it. The other black cards, though, Rat Out. Rat Out would probably not work terribly well in this deck. While it is a little bit of removal, it's pretty much you have to play it turn 1 or 2. Otherwise, it's not really worth the card instead of whatever else you might play. I'm sure there's the situation that I could have used it. Did I have it? But I'm not unhappy that I didn't have Rat Out. Sugar Rush, I suppose I could have gone the 2 Sugar Rush instead of Quick Study. Considering my dropping of blue, I suppose Sugar Rush would have been where I should have gone. Grabby Giant, I said during the draft, look, it has its moments, and I think I drafted it pretty early, so I might keep it to play red, but yeah, I'm glad I didn't keep it, stay with it, you know what I mean. Commune with Nature, it has its moments, but this deck, as it stands, is a bit more WinCon wise, is a bit more just big dumb creature. So Commune with Nature sort of doesn't really get you the cards you need early in the game. So I'm glad I didn't draft that one. And Toadstool Admirer is good, but I don't think I need a third. Bestial Bloodline. It's not bad, though you got to be a bit careful. You go, say, turn... Well, it either ends up being, turn 1, Toadstool Admirer, turn 2, Bestial Bloodline, which, look, is not the worst way to cast it. But you gotta also be a little bit careful of, say, going, having nothing to do otherwise, turn 5, play Gingerbread Hunter, turn 6, play Bestial Bloodline, and you're just sort of not quite doing things. The advantage of being able to return it from the graveyard to your hand is good, but it's a lot of mana for it, so got to be a bit careful doing it. Territorial Witchstalker. I did say during the draft that maybe I should go with it just to put my defenses up for a bit, and I suppose if I did, it would have been instead of Spellscorn Coven with the Power of Hindsight, because yeah, it's mainly the higher end of the spectrum that I won most of my games with, and Territorial Witchstalker plays on the defensive for a while, but can go on the attack should the game go to the end towards the later turns of the game. So I suppose in that sense, maybe get rid of Spellscorn Coven. Feel free to disagree with me. Skybeast Tracker, I stand by what I said about it when I drafted it. That it is good when it works, but yeah, it just doesn't work all that often. And Obira, yeah, especially if I was dropping blue, I wouldn't have kept it, and it sort of needs to be at least fairly heavy on fairies. So yeah, I'm glad I didn't keep that. I suppose out of all of that, if I'd got rid of blue, that's Quick Study, Spellscorn Coven, and Ballooner's Gatekeeper. I should have gone the 2 Sugar Rush for Quick Study, Territorial Witchstalker for Spellscorn Coven, and I suppose Bestial Bloodline for Ballooner's Gatekeeper, or maybe even Commune with Nature, or yeah, well, Toadstool Admirer wouldn't have been terrible, but yeah, 3 you got to be a little careful with. But anyway, I am somewhat disappointed about how that deck went in that it didn't quite work how I wanted it to, but I am pretty happy with like 3 wins, 3 losses. I'm, as I said at some stage, that I don't mind winning at least 3. But yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and see you next time.